Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Internet Uncapped. I am your host, Super Evan. Joining me is Mitchell, or Mitchy Poppy, as he's sometimes called. I don't accept it, but I have to in my heart.
You're welcome.
Anyway, yeah. So today we have a very special review of the new Superman movie. Before we actually get into that, I did want to address one thing at the top of the show really quickly. The last episode that we did was Creator Clash is officially canceled, and people have been finding our video. They've been showing up. We are nearing 300 views on the video. And whoever's watching us, we really appreciate all of the support and all the views and every other little thing. Mitchell, great job at getting us a somewhat kind of little bit kind of viral video. But it's been great,
Viral
and I'm
for
so
us.
happy.
Viral for us and where we're at. This is
Viral for
something
us, yeah, not quite viral, but viral for us. It's our most viewed video so far on the channel. It has surpassed the Cyrax video, which that's a whole other thing. I don't know how the hell that's been going up and up and up. And that one's almost a month old, but it still chugs along. But this one, within the past few days, it's already almost at 300. So thank you, everybody. And it's really great that we're gonna get a little more support, and we'll get the show to everybody. Now we've got to talk about Superman. I am not going to go first because the last few times I have been, I've read my reviews on Letterboxd for Grand Theft Hamlet. I introduced it a little bit for Thunderbolts. I want Mitchell. I want you to go first with your thoughts, and then I am going to go afterward because I will have a lot that I will want to say. So why don't you kick it off and go ahead describing your thoughts and opinions on Superman?
All right. So first things first, I think when talking about it, I think the best place to start was um right now with the DCU, you look at where it's been and it's kind of been a laughing stock. There's 20 different Batmans. Everyone has been like, oh, canon, is this not canon? Who's in the DCU? Is it just, oh, this is a side movie? Because it's there's just been so much. Um, so going into this, I think Henry Cavill, I thought he was a great Superman. I love I love the work. It was sad. I was sad to learn that he was no longer the guy. Head of, like, when you think of DC Comics, you think of the big three, which to me is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Those are the
Right.
and to lose that front man was crazy to me. I mean, you look at Marvel right now with everything. They lost Robert Downey Jr. They got him coming back, but they lost him as Iron Man. They lost Captain America. They
Yep.
lost Black Widow. They lost a lot of the big time people that were the foundational pieces, and it hurt the product. Now, talked about what the product is now and how they do have some good pieces. They're certainly good. Now
Right.
with DCU, what they're trying to do is they're trying to rebuild and get those established pieces and do this, do what Marvel did, like 2008 to like 2020, really.
Yeah.
Because when did Endgame come out? Was that
That was
2018 or 19?
2019, but more or less you're right, like
Oh yeah,
2019, 2020,
yeah.
something
So
like that.
20, yeah, yeah. So in that time frame, so 12 years, with Iron Man movie they made just hit. I I liked all the Captain Americas that they did. I liked all the Iron Man that they did. And that's not to say that like Iron Man 2 is better than 1 and he's better than 2. I thought 2 was the best Iron Man in my opinion personally. I like
Interesting.
Mickey Rourke. I thought he was a good villain. But about that, this
Mm,
is about DC,
mhm.
not Marvel.
Right.
So they learned that Henry Cavill was no longer the guy going forward, and to see where it is now, it really was. It was a shock. I just, again, I was worried. I was worried about it, and I didn't want to see it get messed up because I like James Gunn. And we're speaking about Marvel a second ago. He did a good job with Guardians, but you know he had to. he had to move on. He didn't want to stick with doing that over, and he got an opportunity to be the head guy of the DCU. That's a great opportunity to take. Now, David Cornsweet, Cornsweet, I don't know how to pronounce his name,
Corn Sweat, yeah.
but Mister Cornsweet. Okay,
Yeah.
so he takes over, the Superman role, and again, a lot of people were kind of just like, oh, Henry Cavill's better. Henry Cavill's better. And to those people, what I would say is, listen, David can't control. He's picking the role because he probably likes Superman. He probably likes comic books. He liked it growing up, and he wanted to take this role and be Superman. It's a great opportunity to take it. So don't hold the fact that someone else had the thing before. You wouldn't look at someone like Robert Patterson and then be like, oh well, Christian Bale was that. No, they play a different type of the same character, and I would advise people just give it a chance. Just legitimately, just give it a chance. It's a good movie. We'll dive into it, but I think David Cornsweet, I thought he did a really wonderful job, and that was the biggest thing that I had that I was worried about is how is he going to play the part? How is he going to um, be perceived in this movie as Superman, and what's going to be the crowd reaction? And a lot of people that went in, I think, more open minded, um, really liked what they saw, and a lot of people gave him credit. Like I thought he did a wonderful job, and I'm interested to see what they do next with this character and with this world that they are establishing. I really enjoyed the film. We'll go ahead and we'll dive in a little bit more in a second. But again, I just think that with the expectation initially, I was nervous.
Sure. And it's understandable because, you're not a comic book guy, but you do know, the movies, and you probably did start with Man of Steel, I would think. A lot of people did,
Yeah,
but obviously there was, Superman Returns and all the other ones. So understandably, you're
mhm,
talking about it from sort of a casual perspective and leaning into the sort of newer version. So it makes a lot of
yeah,
sense that a lot of, and I've seen
exactly.
it. I've seen a lot of people sort of have a lot of concerns and sort of their perception of what they think Superman is, and so. But anyway, but what I will now go ahead and say my piece because there is a lot to unpack for this movie. What I will do right now, and it's not well, what I'll say is this. So, since his first appearance in Action Comics #1, 1938, in the comics, he was actually Superman is and always has been a very radical figure in American fiction. And the reason why is because in the early years of those stories, he was seen as a champion of the oppressed, looking out for the working class, those who need to be saved from constant danger. And the way that he does it is not just physical in nature, but he also is sort of emulating the best that humanity can possibly offer. The guy that you really want to aspire to, someone to look up to, and that it is a higher echelon beyond what us mere mortals, live through. All the evils that we endure, hatred and bigotry and all of these different things. It's more than that. It's like we can be a hero, you can be someone to aspire to do good for other people, and that's really sort of the main point of Superman. And that does get lost in between the weeds of Hollywood and trying to profit off of a really prolific character like this. And for this movie, it had to do a couple of different things. Number one is that it had to reestablish Superman for the new universe, and then also completely launch pad outward the new DC universe. And that is a gargantuan, really, really difficult task to do. I compare this movie a lot to Iron Man in the respect that Iron Man was only telling one story. It was just about Iron Man, right? But there was a tiny little tease about the Avengers and how that was going to culminate into a wider Marvel Cinematic Universe. Whereas there was already a DC universe. They tried doing it and it failed, and now they got to redo it again. So they kind of hit the ground running. And I found this movie to be incredibly inspiring, bold, ambitious, just incredibly, but balancing. And it can be, a little overstuffed, and it can be, there would be a lot of different things going on all at once. But the whole point in that, in my opinion, just the way I interpret it, is that so much craziness and so much chaos happens in all of our lives to different levels and different degrees. And how are you going to manage to deal with all of these different forces, all of these different events coming right at you? And Superman is the guiding light that will show you that there is a way to figure out how to deal with all of these things without succumbing to, pressures and, misbehaving or going, into a darker version of yourself. That is the whole point. And the action could get really nuts and very crazy, but it was always big and always sprawling and always in service to what the kind of story is to try to get to. And especially with, Superman and Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, who I've seen a fair amount of Nicholas Hoult projects over the last year now. He's just crushing it. But now he has another film role with Lex Luthor, he's such an evil, unlikable dickhead. Like, he is so bad, but he plays it so excellently. But I would say, that I was blown away by it. I wasn't blown away at the first act. It was very slow, and they had to build a lot of things up. But when it really got going, it just banged it up, and they introduced a lot of different things. And again, there was a lot going on, and it could be a little overwhelming, but it wasn't to the point where everything got so drowned out you didn't know what was going on. You had a through line of what was going on, and that was because of David Corenswet. That was because Superman was the main focus of the entire story. You saw the whole world around him through his eyes. And so I think that where people are kind of, a lot of the movie has been positively received, which I think is fantastic because it deserves to have a pop culture moment. I think where people are kind of, wrapping themselves in knots a little bit is kind of like what you said, Mitchell, which is that, like, they have this expectation of what Superman is, or they have an expectation of what they want to see out of the movie instead of engaging with the movie's themes and the underlying text of what it's trying to do. And I think that some of the discussions that people are having are about, well, why did it have to be so this? And why did it have to do so that? Why? Instead of, oh, this happened because of XYZ. Oh, this happened because this. Well, maybe I didn't like this part, but I like this part. And I think we're so caught up in all the minutia and all the little details, and we're so caught up in all the internet online negativity that it kind of bogs down the whole point of the movie, which is, just try to live your life the best you can and try to actually do good instead of nitpicking the actual movie. That's part of it. I'm not saying that's the whole ball game, but that is part of what I have been seeing. And I also think that it's interesting too, because I've noticed that people are shitting on the movie, and I think a lot of people are shitting on the movie because they may not understand. They may not understand what the function of the movie is happening, but it may also be revealing that in many ways, people are genuinely, like, showing how shitty of a human being they actually are just by the way that they're talking about this one movie and the themes of this one movie. Like, listen, you don't have to like Superman if you don't want to. You don't have to think he's an interesting character if you don't want to. But at least be good faith in how you engage with the movie. And, to each their own, right? So I would say that this was a phenomenal debut for the new DC universe. I thought this was a great, really, really great interpretation of Superman. And we are definitely going to break down each of the different parts in our spoiler section because I really want to get into some spoilers. But overall, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was bold. I thought it was ambitious. This is the summer blockbuster, I think, of the year, besides Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, which I love. And unfortunately, we didn't have any time to go over that movie, but I thought it was phenomenal. This also, it was a very phenomenal blockbuster. Anything else you wanted to add before we move on to spoilers, Mitchell?
No, I think we pretty much all said it there. I think that's as simple as we can put it. Just give it a chance, check it out. It's worth it. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think that
Yeah.
people just get over the Henry Cavill thing. Give it a chance. I think so. Now let's get into like the meat and potatoes of it. So, the movie, it opens up with Superman. He is I want to talk about the characters first before
Yes. Yeah. I think
we
that's a
talk
good
about
way to
Superman
start.
a
Let's
lot.
do Superman, then we'll go
Yeah,
from Lois to Jimmy to all the other people.
yeah, yeah. So Superman, I think they focused a lot on the struggle, and what I mean by they focused on two struggles mainly. The first struggle of being an alien and not knowing his past, which that becomes a very, very big thing. It's a conflict which we'll discuss a little bit later. And they also discuss like the conflict of Clark Kent and Superman,
Mhm.
and you see that a lot with the tension between him and Lois Lane. Um, so it's good, great. I like how James Gunn really put it. Like you see the relationship, you see that there's some not animosity, but there is struggle because of Superman and who he is and what he has to do and how he has to kind of put Lois in the back seat a little bit because of what he's doing. And she wants to be a great reporter. That's her career. She wants to be the best reporter that there is. But she's trying to also be ethical, and she's trying not to have a conflict of interest when one of the people that you are going to interview is a superhero who's also your boyfriend.
Right.
So they go into that a little bit. So I like the conflict, man. Again, the conflict of being an alien, the conflict of being Clark Kent and trying to be a boyfriend to Lois Lane. Next, my personal favorite, Lex Luthor.
Yes.
I love the fact that he was a hater.
Oh, totally. Like I said, dickhead. Total dickhead.
Yeah, but Evan.
I mean, he's bald, so speaks for itself. But yeah,
Evan. Okay, I got to pull up a photo. This is the very first thing that I thought of when I Lex Luthor.
uh-oh.
It was this
I'm a little
thing
nervous,
exactly.
but okay.
Like Evan, don't be nervous. Okay, it's fine. It was the very first thing that I thought of, and I could not I was like, dude, no way, like no freaking way, like this is it was fantastic, Evan. Like I mean, all right, let me share my screen.
I know what you're gonna share because I think I shared this with you.
Nope.
It's not even close.
The players haters ball.
Okay.
And Evan, let me tell you, there's a line from this episode of the Chappelle Show, and I wish Lex Luthor would say it. And the line goes as this: "Excuse me, everyone." Or I'm going to change it to Superman, okay? If I was Lex Luthor, this is what he would say. "Excuse me, everyone. I got to go home and put some water in Superman Mama's dish." And then he would leave. Like, again, just a straight up hater. He hates everything about Superman. I absolutely love it. I love the fact that he is so jealous and he's so aggro, and just the hatred he has for Superman just drives him insane. He knows all of his moves. He knows how to counter everything. I absolutely love the hatred that he just rolls with. It was awesome. My favorite part of the movie is just I wanted to get up in the middle of the theater and just go, hey, 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 hey. I was so proud of that moment. Anything you want to add to Luthor?
No, Lex Luthor. I mean, I forgot to preface this in the beginning, but I'll mention it here. There have been many Superman movies, and a lot of people see Superman the movie from 1978 as like the best version. Christopher Reeves is an all-time great Superman, and Gene Hackman played Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor, he was a little bit of a cornier character, but the overall intention of him being this kind of businessman and he wants to ruin super lives. He was a hater, but like it just shows you that, you know, all of these different versions, they bring something to the table. And what Nicholas Holt does for Lex Luthor, they were able to amp him up way more than I've seen him amped up. And not only that, but like he is so hater mode. I mean, he really is. And not only is he hater mode, but he's also just like he is psychopathic in the sense that he just doesn't give a fuck. Like he truly there's a scene where, you know, for spoilers, he supposedly kidnapped Crypto, the super dog, and Superman comes crashing into LexCorp and going, "Where's the dog? Where's the dog?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? Like, what dog?" Like, just very plainly, very flatly, like no emotion whatsoever. Superman throws his freaking desk at the window. "Where's the dog?" And then he goes, "I have no clue what you are talking about. Just do not give 2 million fucks on anything." And he even made his own. And then he drank the cup and he says, you know, mutt hound in a cape. And he's like, "Excuse me." He has super hearing, by the way, so he knew what he said. But he's like, what? Huh? I don't know. But a main part of the movie as well, and I'll wrap this up a little bit into it, is the fact that Superman is being seen by everybody around the world. And what does that mean for the 21st century? You know, it's not newspapers anymore. It's social media. It's videos. It's, you know, news of international conflicts all over the place. We'll get into the Bavaria thing in a minute, but basically there's a whole conflict with Bavaria, and it's on a strip of land called Jabapur or something like that. And there's some very intentionally provocative allegory for what that is supposed to mean. But basically, Lois Lane is like, "I have to, you know, question you about these actions because, you know, what this could mean a lot of different things because of your potential involvement, and that you could be linked to the U.S. government and blah 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 blah." And she's overthinking and representing a mindset of, this is how the world works, and these geopolitical, you know, moves matter. Whereas Superman, he has the purest of intentions. People are hurt. People are dying. I should be able to do something to save lives. And it's a really important intention. But when you have that simplicity go up against an otherwise complicated world, how are those things in conflict? And that's another really big thing. And with Lex Luthor, you know, his assistant Eve is capturing him on camera, and they're spinning it as like he's going to attack Luthor and he's threatening him. You know, even though he was literally having a bit of an emotional moment where Crypto was clearly, you know, kidnapped.
Stolen.
So it was smart. The movie was very smart in trying to show that even the person with the best intentions, they can be manipulated and twisted into nefarious ways just because of how our information system is trying to spread all these lies about people.
Exactly. You know, again, I just loved how evil, maniacal that Lex Luthor was. He made that movie for me. I thought it was fantastic the way that he was played and the way that he was written. Next, the Justice Gang. They were kind of cheesy. I'll say that. You know, it's the early days of the Justice League. They go by the Justice Gang. They had I'm blanking on the actor's name now. I can't think of his name, and it always goes ahead.
Nathan Fillion? Are you talking about Guy Gardner?
Guy Gardner, yes, and Ethan, yes. If you know him from anywhere, you know him from The Rookie,
or Castle,
The Rookie,
or Firefly. He was in Firefly.
Yeah, but I mean, he does the ongoing TV show, Rookie,
right? The Rookie,
the
recently,
Rookie,
but yeah, he's been in a lot of things. It's crazy.
Well, that's still going.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, that's like the thing that he does like pretty much the most, and that's like his most consistent thing, and I think what a lot of people know him from. And he's also worked with James Gunn in the past. Guardians 3, he was one of the guards. So you know, he had he had that connection there. So he's kind of the leader of this Justice Gang, as they're calling it. We all know it as the Justice League, but they're not established yet. So they are the Justice Gang, and that's what he wants to call it. You can tell he's an asshole, which I absolutely love. And he seems like the kind of guy that if you want something done, you don't like. If you want something done, that's fine. That's fine for people to know about. You wouldn't send him. But if you want something done that you're kind of like, hey, keep it on the down low. We don't really want this really getting out there. You can handle it however you want. Kill him however you want. Doesn't matter. Take care of business. And that's the kind of vibe I got from him. He seemed like a very shady Lantern.
Yes.
And like he kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I it wouldn't surprise me if he turns into a villain later on. I don't know the comics, so Evan, if that is the thing that does happen, please tell me. But he seems like a guy who doesn't represent what the Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, he's just a jackass. But there have been stories where he like turns into a Red Lantern and stuff. It's too early right now, but he's just a jackass. He's just a jerk. Yeah. I mean, but his intentions are good, but they're very misplaced. And it's funny. Yes. It's funny you mention all of that because Nathan Fillion had an interview, and all of those answers is what he said. Like all what you said were his answers. Really? No shit. No, really, dead ass. I'll link the interview that I saw this on, but no, he said it exactly the way you said it. It's crazy.
That's wild. Okay. Yeah, but that's. I mean, he played it that way.
And that's the thing is that he is a guy who you would not send first. You would send very, very last, dead last, for the dirtiest jobs possible.
Because when you look at everything that happened, you look at just how he was trying to cover up for Superman for a little bit. Like there's one scene where he goes ahead and throws doesn't throw the ring, but throws his fist towards the window, covers up the window so people couldn't see inside. He's like, I need to know, like, we need to know this. Like, is that true? Did you come down here? Do you have and the very first thing he asks is not like, are you here to destroy? Do you have a harem of women? I'm like, I respect that. It's a great question. Like, do you have a harem of women? Like, what the fuck? Out of all the things you could have asked, like, where's the nuke? How many people have you killed? Is that message true? You could have asked any of those things. Do you have a harem
of women? Yeah, exactly. And for context, at this point in the movie, it was revealed that there's a bit of a slight retcon, a bit of a change in the original Superman mythos, which is that Jor-El and Laura, Superman's parents, had a message for Superman. Turns out that message that was originally lost was kind of recalibrated, and it said that basically your mission, our world is dying, but also you need to actually like repopulate the entire Earth so we can take it over and like kill everybody on Earth. So yeah, and it's like, oh, well, okay.
It wasn't to kill everyone on Earth. It was they pretty much said like he should take it over.
Yes,
they should view him as a god,
right?
And he should impregnate every woman so they have his kid.
Yeah, which is like really pretty messed up, and that is not what happens in the comics at all. But for this version, it's a different version. You see, so it works because it goes completely against him, and it's like, what? That can't be right, but it is. That's what happened in the movie.
Yeah. And then the other two people part of the Justice Gang, Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific.
Yes,
because he had a bigger role. I've never heard of Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, most people haven't.
I never heard of him.
He's fantastic. Yeah, and terrific.
I've never seen him growing up. I want to say like the early 2000s. I watched the Justice League show, and then they did Justice League Unlimited. I think that was the second one, or like the second show was like
Justice League Unlimited. Yep,
and it was like and it was 4 seasons essentially of the same show. The first 2 seasons was just the Justice League. It was just the 7 people. Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Hawk Girl,
Batman, Martian Manhunter.
I said Martian Manhunter. That was the other one I missed. So yeah, and you know, they would have occasionally other heroes show up. Like they had Aquaman for a little bit.
Yep.
He showed up. And then villains from like Deadshot was in it. The Joe showed up for a little bit.
The
All the
Shade,
big time villains.
Solomon
Yep.
Grundy, Joker had an appearance in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Cheetah.
So
yep.
yeah, all the big time villains showed up. And then when this after they did the 2 seasons of Justice League Unlimited, where they introduced more characters. They introduced Green Arrow, Supergirl. I'm trying to think of what her name is. Black Canary.
Yes.
I think it's what it is.
Black
Yeah,
Canary,
they introduced more heroes, and they had more storylines with different people.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember Mr. Terrific from that. So
he might have been in it, but I definitely
I
don't think he played a major role in that show. But he may have been in it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and that was
Check.
the thing I was thinking. I was like, I don't even remember him being in that.
Yeah.
But I liked him too. For like the good guys, you know, besides Superman, he was my personal favorite. I liked everything that he was about. You know, just flying around and kicking everyone's ass with the little orbs that he had, and then getting pissed off at Crypto eating them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. I just looked it up, and indeed, he did appear in Justice League Unlimited. So he probably was in like a minor episode or something. But he was. Oh, actually, no, he was in 1, 2. He was in 9 episodes, but he was a main player in about like 4 or 5 of them. So that's the answer. But it's been a long time since we've seen it. So I didn't remember either. So I'm like, oh yeah, was he in the show? I was like, I have to believe it. So the answer is yes, he was, but we wouldn't know it. We wouldn't remember his episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and check it out again.
You should.
They have like
to watch it again. It's a great show.
Yeah. I remember they had like a cowboy guy. I'm like, who the hell's the cowboy guy? The dude was just always pop, 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 pop. I don't think he ever shot anyone.
Probably not.
A terrible cowboy. Yeah. Well, like, I got to go back and watch it.
Totally.
You know, and I like the fact that he was like, you know, the technology guy. He played a very vital role in the story and trying to save everything. And then,
yes,
Hawkgirl.
Mr. Terrific was like the guy. He's one of the most intelligent people in the DC universe for sure, but he also is like, he's so meticulous and very calculated in what he does. And a lot of what his motivations, it'll be interesting. There may be a show that Mr. Terrific is going to occupy in the future. So we may be knowing a lot more about this version, but I know some stuff about him and about his motivations.
Prequel, or is it?
I don't know yet. We don't know many details. We only know that they may be going ahead with a show that stars him.
I would like a prequel.
Yeah, I think so too. I would also like a prequel. I don't think we need to do anything current day right now with him, or a lot of the characters really don't. But I think, would need a prequel. I agree with that.
Last character in the Justice Gang, Hawkgirl.
Yes.
There's a spoiler that I want to mention so bad, but I won't. You know, she kind of looks weak. I'll say that until like near the end. She doesn't really do much of anything throughout the movie.
That's true.
There's a part where you're going ahead. They're fighting this giant monster in the middle of the city, like by the town park. And she's taking her what's that called?
It's like a mace.
That's what it called? Yeah, mace. So she's taking her mace. She hits the beast in its eyes. Does nothing. Really does nothing. And she hits it a few times, nothing. And then Guy goes ahead and hits it in the eye. He does like a thing that goes ahead and grips it around its face and starts stabbing it in the eye multiple times. And he's actually doing some damage to it. But Hawkgirl doesn't really do much of anything. They kind of made her look really weak, which I was a little disappointed about. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's a Superman movie, so obviously we're not going to see too much of her. But even just like in this movie, until the end, she just looks weak. And there's one thing she does in the end where she seems very vengeful. or like someone that's just not like, Superman's very like, I don't want to kill anyone if I don't have to. Even Lex Luthor, after everything he put him through, he still doesn't beat him up. He still just says, "You're gonna go to jail,
Right.
bud. That's it, buddy." And as Peacemaker will say, it's because these candy asses don't know when to smoke them.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I mean, Hawk
yeah,
Girl, I don't necessarily agree that she wasn't strong, but I agree that there wasn't a lot of development for her. And all she really did, I mean, I thought she was a badass, but she was very underdeveloped as a character. We didn't really know her motivations. We didn't know quite what her deal is. She kind of was just like there. So hopefully in the
yeah,
future, they will give her more and they'll flesh her out more. And I think they will, because again, this is just the start. So they'll have time to do it, and they'll figure it out. And eventually, they
yeah.
are going to do a Justice League movie. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that we know that by now. Um, I liked
Yeah.
that she just was very no nonsense, and she's doing her freaking hawk screech, and she's just beating the shit out of everybody. Now, obviously, with the monster, yeah, that wasn't a lot, but there were a lot of scenes where she's just swooping in. She's just no nonsense, taking names, and then of course, she ends up killing the president of Bavaria or whatever. That was the thing. But part of that, I will say this: Guy, like you said, Guy does some questionable things. Even Mr. Terrific did some questionable things with the giant monster that they were, fighting in the city. And the point of all of that was that they were doing these kind of unorthodox things, even though they were saving people and they were sparing people's lives, but they were also risking people's lives by doing some of the things that they were doing. And Superman's whole thing is, I need to protect the monster away from the people so that the people can be safe, and that's his whole thing. It's the other way. It's the alternate way instead of the most direct way and the more violent way, which is to attack it and to subdue it or even kill it. Now, the monster wasn't killed, but I think that in a weird way, even though some of these characters were not fleshed out, especially Hawkgirl, it still highlighted a major theme in the movie, which is that not everything has to be resolved with violence, but we have to be direct and go at certain things to solve our problems. So I just thought that was very
Mm-hmm.
interesting, too. But in terms of Hawkgirl, I do agree that she was very underdeveloped.
Okay, I didn't want to say the president thing yet, but yeah, I like the fact that she just
He's like,
dropped him. That was the thing I was. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I know you like Superman and you won't drop me," and she's like, "You're wrong. I'm not like Superman." Boop.
ah!
Have fun.
And we don't see him die,
And
but
I,
it's implied that he cracked like an egg.
yeah, which is good.
Yeah. Anyway, so go ahead.
Next on the list, Lois Lane. You know, I thought she was really well thought out. They make her this very honorable journalist. She's kind of a badass in her own
Yes.
sense. The other thing I would say too is like the conflict between her and Superman. I understand it. It's I can imagine being in that situation. Having to keep your boyfriend's identity hidden. Who's your boyfriend? What does he do? He accounting. He's an accountant.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, and you could tell that has a lot of stress on their relationship. But I like I hate when these movies try to go ahead. I think it could be a badass in different ways. And what they did was they didn't try to make her a badass in the sense that she was going to beat everyone up. They made her a badass with her actions of like that weren't necessarily that.
Yeah.
Like she went to the pocket universe where Superman was being arrested at, and she fought to save him. Um, and that was a great thing to see. Sometimes what they'll do is with female characters, I feel like they feel like, oh, we have to make her strong, we have to make her destroy everyone, we have to make him do this and make him do that. No, you can be strong in other ways. It doesn't have to necessarily be with your
Right.
fist. And I like the fact that they just made her like, she was scared. She went to where the anomaly was, which turned out to be a like portal to get into the pocket
Mm-hmm.
universe with Mr. Terrific. And when they get there, she doesn't fight anyone. She just looks in amazement as Mr. Terrific takes out everyone.
Yeah.
And it was a great scene. The music, the choreography was great, and she just sit there in awe and amazement. I mean, later on, she does learn how to fly, and she picks up that really quickly, which is whatever. But for the most part, she's just a normal person with a superhero boyfriend.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
And I liked how she was written.
Yeah, no, and it's very interesting because Lois Lane in the early stories, she was a reporter, but she was basically like the damsel in distress, and she would always get caught by Superman, and but there was always a little bit of mischievousness to her. She would always get herself into trouble, and because she's a journalist, she always wants to get the next scoop. And in modern iterations,
Mhm.
especially with Margot Kidder, the goat, she was, a woman who, she wanted to use her intellect. She wanted to get the scoop. She wanted to get the story. And it was not just about the damsel in distress. It was the fact that she would purposefully get herself into shit so that Superman could save her, or she would save him in a lot of different ways through her intellect and through her wit. And that's what makes them such a great foil, is that she is a regular human with all this intellect, and he is also smart, but he has all these powers, and they balance each other out in terms of their perspectives as a human on Earth, and this alien who was raised by human parents. Rachel Brosnahan played Mrs. Maisel on the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel show. And what was really interesting was that it felt like a combination of Margot Kidder's performance in the 78 movie combined with Mrs. Maisel, but it works so well. I mean, she is so sharp and she is so wordy, and she's just thinking all these different things all the time. She's trying to think of the ramifications of all these different things, like I was saying in the early part of the episode. And it really shows she really did an excellent job. I agree with you with portraying Lois Lane and portraying that character, especially as a foil for David Corenswet's Superman. But it was just very interesting because I knew her only as Mrs. Maisel, but then I'm like, I wonder how she's going to do as Lois Lane, and she did amazing. She knocked it out of the park completely.
Yeah, I've never seen that show, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, but I thought she did such a good job. I'm definitely going to check it out now. I'm going to have to
Yeah,
add it to
no,
my
it's good.
list.
It's a different kind of show. It takes place in like the 50s, and Mrs. Maisel's like a stand-up comedian. I've seen a little
Mhm.
bit of it. I haven't watched much of Mrs. Maisel, but if you like Rachel Brosnahan, that is the show you would want to check out.
Nice. Um, Now I think we should jump over to the villains now. So, excuse me. For the villains, we had three main villains. Obviously, we had Lex Luthor, which we already talked about.
Right.
The goat, Mr. Angry all the time. And then we had I think it was, what was it, the Knight of Baravia? That's what it was.
The Hammer
The
of
Hammer of
Baravia.
Baravia, that's what
Yes.
it was. Yeah, who, we're not going to say who it is yet. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
but he for the most part, he's masked up. You don't get to see it till the very end. Obviously, it's how it usually goes. Whoa, that's who it is, huh? I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids, huh?
What?
But do what?
Do it.
He, in the very beginning movie, the very first scene, what do you see? You see Superman, and he gets his ass kicked, and he's flying away, or not flying away, but he gets knocked into the snow.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's because, well, he just got screwed over by he just got beaten up by the Hammer of Baravia. So when that happens, you're just like, oh my gato, Mr. Roboto, what the hell happened? And you learn that, well, he got completely walloped. He got his ass handed to him by this guy. And it was like, to go ahead and see it afterwards was see them fight. You can see Lex Luthor calling out the numbers, F-17, B-15, and he's just calling out everything. And what's happening the whole time? Well, he's getting Superman's getting beaten up, and you see it throughout the whole film that this guy um, just has the upper hand on him the whole time. The whole time it was interesting because usually you'll see like in the beginning, like, oh, they in the beginning it's always like, oh, they have to overcome this very, very tough thing, and then later on in the movie they beat him.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really until the very end where that happened.
He
Like
was
the
a tough
very
opponent,
end. Like how much
and there's a
street.
reason. But yes,
Yeah.
he was for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. And they showed like a really good like they built a really good villain. I'll say that. They made a really good villain. The
Yeah.
whole Lex Luthor dynamic was absolutely fantastic. Evan, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so in terms of the hammer of Baravia, yeah, I guess it's Baravia, not Bavaria. I don't know, whatever. I can't. The names are a little bit
Yeah, it's
jumbletron. But basically, he was trying to pose as like the guardian of that country, and and that country was being bankrolled by Lex Luthor, in order to basically take over the region. And like I said, there are a couple of allegories that it's kind of touching upon that are very relevant to today, but also there are other things in other world events in the past that you could also tie some parallels to. But in terms of the Hammer Baravia, he ends up being revealed not as a robot, but as an actual other metahuman called Ultraman. And so we're like, what the heck's going on with Ultraman? Like, okay, like this is interesting, but like, what's the deal there? And Ultraman, he's effing shit up. He's doing the do. He's doing everything for Lex Luthor. And when we get to the climax of the movie, it's revealed that Ultraman, and I kind of sensed it a little bit. I kind of figured it out. It wasn't like too much of a surprise, but it was like this really interesting moment where the mask comes off and it's a clone of Superman. And it's like, oh. And there were also little hints that he may be a little dumber compared to the main Superman. Well, there's a character named Bizarro. And Bizarro, in the animated show, but also a little bit in the comics, but also there's a whole other sort of alternate universe aspect to Bizarro. He was a clone of Superman who was an imperfect clone, and he says a lot of things kind of backwards. And so, but he is a very powerful, formidable opponent for Superman. So there was a lot of mixing and matching of these different things. Ultraman is not what you're thinking of. Ultraman isn't the big giant Japanese superhero guy that fights kaiju. Ultraman in DC Comics was actually an alternate universe Superman who was evil Superman, like really badass, evil, fuck all evil Superman. So it was interesting they used that name, but it wasn't the same character. It was a very different version, and they tweaked kind of Ultraman with kind of Bizarro clone kind of thing. And I thought that was very clever and very smart because what it showed was that this version of Superman, was going to be a little different than the comics, but it was going to pay homage to certain things and pay homage to certain references. So I thought that was very well handled. But it was like one twist after another twist after a third. It was like a Russian doll of twists with the Hammer of Bavaria, aka Ultraman.
Stretch my arm here. Next, we have the engineer.
Yes.
No name.
Just the engineer. That's it. That's all she's called.
Yeah. And she had, it wasn't nanotech.
I think it was like nanotech, and she could like
no.
Or nanobots. Nanobots. That's what it was.
That's what they were.
They were like these nanobots all over her body. Yeah.
Yeah, her whole body was made up of it, and to what they said, I think it was in her blood.
It was in her bloodstream, and that she could manipulate her entire body into any shape that she could think of in her head.
It was her imagination that would limit her.
Right.
And she was a formidable foe. Also, she could there's a lot of scenes where she's running and then her back turns into a jetpack. Like you would see all these different things that she would do. When they invade Superman's lair, they go ahead and you have the Hammer of Baravia just beating them up with his fist. she turns her hands into saw blades and starts throwing them
Oh
around
yeah.
like no problem, and is destroying everything.
She's doing
So,
backflips, and as she's doing backflips, she's standing on her feet again, like morphing into her upright body. Like
yep.
it's crazy stuff. And the visual effects were incredible for her, stunning. I thought they were. I was like,
Hmm.
does this look kind of? I'm like, no, this looks actually really really well rendered and well realized in the movie. I was like,
Hmm.
wow,
And yeah, and I thought her character was really
yeah,
cool. Really a really strong villain, and definitely formidable foe for Superman.
yes. She's putting all her nano
Anything
shit in his mouth and covering his eyes and his head and
yeah,
like
no, and
and oh my god, she got freaky with it in that movie. Like holy moly.
yeah. Also, the Hammer Bravia thing, you just said the spoiler. I'm gonna
Well,
have
no,
to
we're in the spoiler section.
move that. Oh, okay, fine. Well, at the end, what ends up happening is, in their fight, Superman goes and flies up to pretty much
Yes.
space, and he just makes it into space, and then he falls down to Earth with both of them, and he ends up not killing the engineer. They never said that she was dead. They said that she still has a pulse,
Yes.
so she never got
Never
killed.
got killed, and that's
So
to be
she,
expected because she's kind of a cyborg, so I wouldn't expect her to be killed anyway.
yeah. So I think she's gonna return
Yes.
in some way, shape, or form. I think they have a plan for her going forward. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward with her and her character.
Yeah.
Um, Anything else you want to add to
Yeah,
that?
no, I mean, for the engineer, she is a part of a team called the Authority, and that was originally why she was in the movie in the first place. They've been delaying production of the Authority, so we don't know whether it will or it won't happen. But that's the initial reason why she's in the movie. But I do think that she will be brought back nonetheless in whatever capacity, because I think she's a very cool character. But
Mhm.
I think that they are going to want to bring those characters into the DC universe down the road, whenever that'll be. But we don't really know like what the deal with the Authority movie is yet.
Do you think that they're gonna make her a good guy?
I think it's possible, but we have to see what her arc looks like because it's just too early right now. She was a bad guy. She was working for
Hmm.
Lex. She got beat. That's really all that we know about her. But like I said, there's a lot, and a lot of the characters were somewhat too very underdeveloped, and that's because Superman was taking up a lot of space. It's Superman's movie, so hopefully a lot of
Hmm.
these characters will get the space that they need to really be fleshed out more, and that is true with Marvel too. But I think DC, it's like people are just so impatient. It's like guys, you got to wait, like you got to see what happens, but people want things now. But yeah, that's what I think.
Hmm. I'm trying to think. What's another? Who else
Well,
was on there that we didn't get a chance?
we got to talk about one of my all-time favorite parts of this movie. We got to talk about two
All right.
people. We got to talk about Metamorpho and his baby Joey, who's his son. We've got to talk
All
about
right.
before
You're
we get to
excited.
Joey. We got
You're
to talk about
you
Metamorpho first. So let's go to Metamorpho right now. All
you
right,
do it. You do it. You're excited about these two. You lead the
Metamorpho
charge on
is
this.
a Silver Age, very strange character. And what happens with him is that he is captured with Superman in the Pocket Universe, and there are reasons we don't quite understand why exactly he's upset, but he's upset, and Luthor is trying to make him uh subdue Superman because he can create elements with his entire body. He can shapeshift, he can morph and do all these things. He can also create substances from other worlds, and so he creates a hand entirely made of kryptonite, his weakness, right? And so he's like kind of moody, and for like whatever reason he's like, don't talk to me, and he's like, don't talk to me, you shouldn't be doing this, and there's something going on, there's some mental thing or whatever going on. But obviously there's baby Joey. Now baby Joey, before we really continue, I gotta show you baby Joey, so give me 1 second. Here he is. Oh, wait. Do you have it? There we go.
Oh,
Here
oh.
he is. There's baby Joey, everybody. That he is a green little baby who I don't know what the deal is. It's never explained, but there he is. Now the other there's another sort of picture that will give you a little bit of a better sense of baby Joey, because I do need to describe him just a little bit. If you have it, Mitchell.
Yep.
There he is. So as you can see, baby Joey is this green little baby with very big eyes, kind of a little mouth and nose. He is basically the in between of very cute, but also weirdly uncanny.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is that Superman, he is dying. He is getting some serious kryptonite poisoning, and he's like, "Listen, you have to let me go. I will get out of here, and I can save your son. But please, you have to let me go." And it took some convincing for Metamorpho to really sort of get on his wavelength. Eventually, he retracts his kryptonite hand. He turns it back to normal. And what he does is he realizes, and he describes that he needs the sun. He needs the sun because the sun is what gives him Superman's power. So he combines all these different little elements all together, and he creates sort of like an atomic fusion thing that would simulate
Mm-hmm.
the sun. So he gets a lot of his powers back. Superman busts through the frickin' cube, the frickin' cube. They go right to Joey. They kick the shit out of the guy who's holding poor baby Joey, and they are able to get out of there. What ensues next is one of the funniest sequences in a superhero movie that I've seen in recent memory. Now, if you may recall, in our Thunderbolt review, Mitchell he did detail that Red Guardian, there was a girl, and the slab of concrete was falling on the girl. Red Guardian swoops in, and he catches the stone slab, throws it on the ground, and then he tells her,
No, it breaks off of its back.
and then she goes poof, right? And Mitchell's laughing his ass off. He's having a great time. I shit you not.
No, it broke off his back.
It broke off his back. Okay, fair enough. It broke off his back. It's been a while since we've seen the movie, so I didn't remember that. I thought he grabbed it and then he threw it. Okay, it broke off his back. Fair enough.
No, he went over her.
Yeah.
Like a turtle shell, and it hit him on the back and broke.
Right. Yeah, with the shield. Right. So they are going through, like, they're being attacked in all different directions by, like, Lex Luthor's, minions or whatever. And poor baby Joey, he's flying in the air and he's like, ah! And he's going left and right. Ah! You have like hold on, I'll do like a close up of his face. He's like, ah! And like, he is just flipping up and down. He's crying. He is shitting. He's pissing. He's not literally shitting and pissing, but he, the act of like, acting out when you're shitting and pissing, and Superman's trying to get the baby, and he's trying to beat off these bad guys. He is going to go into a freaking black hole. There's all this stuff around him that's kind of like water, but it's not really water. Baby Joey is just like and freaking out. I am hysterically fucking laughing, and I cannot have, like, so much so that nobody else is really hysterically laughing around me, and I had to like suppress my hysterical laughter because I've gotten in trouble with this before, and I didn't want to have that happen again. Not with Mitchell, but like in the past. Oh my god, it was one of the funniest freaking things I've seen. And he eventually gets baby Joey back to Metamorpho, and everything is all is right with the world. But the fact that baby Joey is just crying, shitting, pissing, flying all over the goddamn place, and they're trying to get out of this black hole, and they're trying to do this, and Superman's trying. I mean, it is chaos on a platter. It was incredible. Like, baby Joey, to me, is the cherry on top of one of the biggest, most delicious cakes you will ever have. He is the cherry on top. He was the piece de resistance of the entire movie for me. And I love the movie, and I think it's fantastic. It's inspiring. It's hopeful. But boy, oh boy, baby Joey. We are baby Joey gang in this house. We stand a king named Baby Joey. And at one point, we go back to Metamorpho. He's back home, and his wife is regular female girl who's blonde hair, and they have a green baby, and it's never explained why they have a green baby. So take that for what it's worth. We don't know what that was all about. We don't know what's going on there. Yeah. So Metamorpho, Element Man, female, regular female, blonde woman, green baby. James Gunn movie, everybody. But I loved it. I loved Baby Joey. He was absolutely one of my favorite parts of the entire film.
Yeah, you love him.
I fucking love Baby Joey, dude. Like it's so real right now.
Big ups, Baby Joey.
Ups for Baby Joey.
I thought he was. I thought he was hilarious.
Loved him.
I enjoyed when he was in it.
Yeah. Gang, Baby Joey.
Yeah, I'm gang, Baby
Yes.
Joey. Yeah, I thought he was funny. I also liked his dad.
Yeah, Metamorpho was a cool guy. We don't know a lot about him, but he's a cool guy, and I think we'll know more about him soon.
Now, he shows up. He shows up later on to help out,
which is good. It's a good start.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there anything that we?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We do have to talk about. We do have to talk about the final thing. We have to talk about the last thing, which is that, you know, like I said, there were some political conflicts, world affairs in the movie, and you know, it's like I said, Superman is the champion of the oppressed, and everybody all around the world depends on Superman. And the thing about the movies in the past is that they play a lot of the stories very safe. It's a very simple thing. It's a very easy conflict. It doesn't rock the boat in any way. It's some overpowered guy. I think there was a guy named Solar Man in Superman 4 Quest for Peace. Like it can get a little stupid at times with some of these villains.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, it's just like a lot of the conflicts in a lot of past Superman movies were very direct and straightforward. This is the first time I've ever seen a Superman movie, let alone a superhero movie, that could deal with a fictional but an otherwise seemingly real, you know, conflict that really reflects what is going on in our world. And, you know, I don't want to get too into it. We're not a political show, but we do want to just mention in context that there's stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine. There's stuff with Israel and Palestine. And Superman is reacting to these kinds of events in a way that it's a matter of that these people are being occupied by a force that they don't want to be occupied by, and they are getting hurt and they are getting killed. And the movie is unapologetic about that. It's not skirting around. It's not cutting corners about it. It's really facing this directly head on and telling the audience that this is exactly what's happening, whether you like it or not. And there's an argument to be made whether that kind of storyline or that kind of plot should be in a movie like Superman. In my opinion, I think it adds to it. I think it adds to the themes, and it really contends to what people's perception of these events can be like. You know, the Iraq War, you know, Mitchell and I, we were young kids during the Iraq War, and, you know, there's all kinds of opinions about the Iraq War, but at the end of the day, guess what happened? When things started to really collapse and the support for the war collapsed, people realized how immoral and wrong it all was. So these things, they cycle through, they turn around, they get complicated. But I think that having that, as opposed to maybe not having it, but not having it be as forceful or direct as the movie had been, I think it would have been a disservice. I actually think it would have really diluted that part of the story and how Superman is contending with an antagonistic world. But that's what I saw, is that the Baravia Jenapar conflict, it reminded me a lot, mostly in my personal opinion, Israel Palestine, but there was a little tiny bit of Russia Ukraine as well, just to say, so that they can get out of committee and that they won't get accused of bullshit things that I'm not going to even say on the show here, but the claims are bullshit, you know. But I think for the most part it was an allegory for Israel Palestine.
I agree. You know, they tried to, you know, obviously they're using fictional places. Right. They would never go ahead and be like, let's use Italy and France. let's start
Let's
a
start a war.
war.
Yeah,
Like they
right.
would never. Yeah, like let's. They're gonna make it up. Video games are doing that now. Call of Duty's trying to go ahead and use fictional places so they don't have to deal with any type of blame or conflict or um, you know deal with the backlash, if you will.
Right.
So yeah, it
It
happens all the
does
time.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, but the president of of Bravia, I wanted to punch that dude in the face, and guess what? Hawk Girl just ends up grabbing him, dropping him, and he's donezo. So I think that job's done. But we're gonna move on now. We're gonna go into now just a bit of a recap in terms of what's been going on with the original DCEU as opposed to the now brand spanking new DC universe, and we also want to touch upon some predictions because this is going to be the part that's going to be the most interesting part of this entire conversation. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're just going to go over really quickly a list of all the DCEU movies. Full disclosure, I have seen most of these movies, but I have not seen every one of them yet. The only like original movie that I haven't seen yet is Aquaman: Lost Kingdom, and the other one being Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League. So the few movies that, in my opinion, in this particular phase of the DC universe, the ones that pass the sniff test for me personally, Wonder Woman, the Suicide Squad, and really Blue Beetle. I know some people aren't crazy about Blue Beetle. I wish it did it better than it did. I know there were a lot of circumstances as to why it didn't do as well, especially because of the writer's strike. I had such a blast. I was on my own when I saw this, but I had such a blast with this movie. It really benefited from the big screen, and I felt that Jaime Reyes was a wonderful character played by Sholo but forgive me if I mispronounced his name. I think it's Maduria. George Lopez is in it. He plays the uncle. But anyway, so I digress. And then, a few of the movies that were pretty good, they weren't amazing, but they were pretty good, was Birds of Prey. I like Birds of Prey a lot. Black Canary is a bitch in that movie. She is fantastic. I loved her the most. Even though it's Harley Quinn's movie, Black Canary, when she had her scenes, was fantastic. Aquaman, I liked a lot. It didn't age very well, but I still thought it was badass and still pretty good overall. And Shazam. And then I thought, Man of Steel was okay. I didn't love it, but definitely I felt it was very misguided. But there were many parts that I actually did like, especially a lot of the reinterpretation of Krypton. And then we get into shit territory.
Mm-hmm.
Shazam 2, didn't like it. Black Adam, stupid. Justice League, very, very bad, problematic. Flash, terrible. Wonder Woman, terrible. Suicide Squad, laughably awful. And by far the worst of these movies was Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, with a jar of pee as the star of the show. But that really goes to show you the problems that this sort of initiative was having in trying to establish the DC universe. For everything that it was trying to do well, that was pretty good, Zack Snyder at the helm was one of the worst mistakes they could have made, in my opinion, because it was all about aesthetic and all about appearance and look more than it was about more than it was about the story, more about the characters or the conflicts. It was all about, they're beating the shit out of each other. This is like, they're doing all this shit. Isn't this cool? Isn't this great? Isn't this what you want? And they tried to do a bit of a pivot, and their content was, or their not their content, but their movies were getting a little better. But by that point, this turkey was deflating. It was just much too late, and it really came down to the fact that they really needed to revamp. But the good news, obviously, is that when you have something like a Suicide Squad, those with James Gunn, or even a Blue Beetle, and some aspects of both those movies, they may be coming into the next phase, which is very, very sick. Before we really get into the DCU right now and also coming up, did you have any thoughts before we move on, Mitchell?
Want to run through. I'm just going to say all the movies real quick. So we have Wonder Woman at 1, 2 is the Suicide Squad, 3 is Blue Beetle, 4, Birds of Prey. 5, we have Aquaman, and then 6, that's Shazam.
Yeah.
7, Man of Steel. 8, Shazam 2. I forgot what they
Shazam,
called it.
Fury of the
I
Gods,
can't really
Shazam
read
2.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. It was small text, couldn't read it. And then
Black
9,
Adam.
Black Adam. Yep, 10, Justice League. Then we have Flash. Then we have Wonder Woman 1984. Then we had Squad, and that's Batman versus Superman. And then that's the Zack
And then
Snyder cut.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yep, yep. So I mean, you see everything that they have so far, and then what's again like a lot of this is, I don't want to say it's going to get scrapped, but it's going to be rewritten,
Yeah.
or it's really going to be weird how they work this. And then like you have to ask yourself, like, does The Rock come back and do another Black Adam?
I don't think so, to be honest. It is going to be a total reboot, but there may be some aspects, like I said, that may pop up every once in a while, and we won't get we're past the spoiler section at this point, but there is a very notable cameo by one of the heroes from the DCEU that makes an appearance, and he will and obviously, Peacemaker is going to be in the new DCU going forward, so that there is a whole sort of thing about that, but he's kind of a leftover, that's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna fit him in, and I wonder if he's gonna get a movie or another crack at me. I think John Cena's game for it.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll have a movie necessarily, but the TV show is really what's going on with Peacemaker right now. And he really basically
Yeah.
he made the transition from the DCEU, and he's moving into the new DCU. So there's kind of like an acknowledgement of the transition in that show, but it's not like the movies are going to acknowledge it because they're a fresh start. So it's kind of like that. It's a little it's funky, but it's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Yeah.
that show. I know it comes out in August, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, no, I loved season 1. I thought season 1 was fantastic, so I can't wait for season 2 as well.
I hated that it's taken so long, but I understand it also.
Yeah, it happens, unfortunately, but you're right. I agree. Okay, so I think we'll move on now. Now we're gonna get into the DCU proper. There are now I will actually let me do this first, and then we'll get into the other things second. So
You're gonna share your screen?
yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. I wasn't burping into the mic
Oh
on
no,
purpose. So there are. Oh yeah, no problem. There are, as of right now, about 8 or so confirmed movies that are in development, or in the case of Supergirl and Clayface, already posted with release dates. So Supergirl is coming up after Superman in 2026, as well as Clayface. Now, something that we wanted to I want to touch upon really quickly is the fact that unlike the Marvel Universe, which has a very distinct tone and feel and a sort of connectivity to each other in terms of how they interact with each other and all of that, the DCU really wants to distinguish itself as that these are movies that are driven by the creators, by the directors and writers and developers, to have their own feel, to have their own unique style, while also being a part of this interconnected world. So Supergirl is going to be based on a science fiction story called Woman of Tomorrow. And we're going to see sort of how she is different compared to her cousin, Superman. And that is going to be, I think, quite interesting down the road. Whereas Clayface is based on the Batman supervillain Clayface, and that is going to be a horror movie. So they're trying to mix and match a little bit with different tones going forward. Now we have a few other movies. We have The Brave and the Bold. This is the introduction to the DCU version of Batman, as well as Batman's son, Damian Wayne, who eventually becomes Robin. We have Sergeant Rock, which is sort of like a military drama, kind of story. And we don't know quite what's going on with that, but they have confirmed that it's currently under development. The director, Luca Guadagnino, might not be the director going forward. And previously, they had casted Sergeant Rock, played by Colin Farrell, who already was another DC character recently, the Penguin. But that is currently under development as of recording. James Gunn says that they are trying to sort of tweak things and figure that out. And there may be a new director going forward for Sergeant Rock.
So who's Sergeant Rock?
He's just he's a classic comic book army guy. So he's not a superhero, but he is. But but kind of like Clayface being a horror film. They're trying to mix and match with different genres that are outside of the superhero stuff.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so that's sort of the whole point of what I'm discussing.
It's
like
that's first time I've ever heard Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of characters that people have heard of for the first time, but there are also going to be characters that everybody would know about. But Sergeant Rock is definitely like kind of an out there sort of character that most people would not know unless you've like really paid attention to the comics.
And to be clear, James Gunn has done this before. Like you look at the last Suicide Squad, like he really dug like the bottom of the barrel, but he made it work.
Yes,
though.
he did.
Like you look at Bloodsport was awesome.
Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, Polka Dot Man, exactly.
Ratcatcher 2 and all those guys. Javelin.
Yeah, like all
bottom of the barrel is correct for that
villains
movie.
that are like one-off villains that only have like one skill or technique.
Exactly, right. Yeah, no, but yeah, and I think that's pretty consistent with what James Gunn wants to do, because he wants to really expand everything. He doesn't just want to go with the familiar. He wants to do familiar and unfamiliar for these movies. Swamp Thing, I think a little more people are going to want to dig into. He had a TV show pretty recently, but he is and he also had a few movies. Wes Craven actually did a Swamp Thing movie. It wasn't particularly good, but it just goes to show you that Swamp Thing kind of is in the talks of people who are somewhat familiar with him. But yeah, that's going to come down the road. That's with James Mangold. There's going to be a Teen Titans live action movie that may be in development, and a Wonder Woman movie that is also coming up in development. Now, the next thing I want to share is that unlike the Marvel universe, which is in phases, DC wants to distinguish itself, kind of, sort of, not so much in function, but in name. So there's Marvel MCU phases. This is DCU chapters, and the chapter, yeah, whoa, what a revelation! Oh wow, oh my god, crazy. I know. But basically, they sort of, for their first phase or chapter or whatever, and it was also shown at the very beginning of Superman. I know that's not really it's kind of sort of a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. But basically, it's to begin the next chapter called Gods and Monsters. And you kind of saw, Clayface, Swamp Thing, and then you had, Supergirl, even Batman, Wonder Woman. So they're trying to focus on the gods and monsters of the DCU, and going forward, there may be other focuses of other kinds of characters that we haven't seen yet and that we may be familiar with. And like I said, there are 3 so far confirmed movies: Superman, Supergirl, and Clayface. Supergirl and Clayface being 2 movies that will release in the same year, whereas Superman was just Superman, and that's it, to kick off the DC universe. So with that being said, I think we're done. We're done going over that. But before we end the show, we have to do predictions.
Yep.
And I have a few predictions, but Mitchell, I will let you go first. What are some of your thoughts and your predictions about what may be going on in the new DC universe?
Can you share your screen again one more time?
Okay. Which part?
the last one.
Okay. I closed out of it. Let me just quickly get it back up. While you do that, I'll get it up. But yeah, just keep talking and let people know what are some of your thoughts or predictions or whatever.
So I think obviously with everything that's going on right now, DC, Marvel, they're in competition with each other. So what does DC need to do that Marvel doesn't do? And one, share this. Perfect. And let's get us on the screen with it.
Yeah, let's get us on the screen now.
Boom.
They want to see our faces, even though the audio listeners will not see our faces.
Yep. So I think you look at this lineup right here. You got Superman, Supergirl, Clayface, the new Batman, Sergeant Rock, Swamp Thing, Teen Titans, and Wonder Woman. I talked about it earlier. The big three: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That's your big three. They're already trying to establish a sort of how they assembled the Avengers in Marvel. They're trying to establish their Justice League,
Right.
which I think it's smart. And then again, you got Clayface, you got you got Sergeant Rock, Supergirl, Swamp Thing, and Teen Titans. You have other things going on at the same time.
Right.
At one point, to me, Marvel was really good when they were introducing new IPs while telling one linear story.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see how are they going to do it in this one. Like I don't know too much about DC. I don't know who the big main villains are. Real quick, Evan, who's like a big villain that the Justice League has to come together besides like Brainiac? Who is someone that they have?
Brainiac is going to be a big character, but he's a Superman villain for the most part, but he definitely is a threat to the Justice League. But there's all kinds. I would say that it's a mishmash of different things. Obviously, there's a lot of different villains that they actually create what's called the Legion of Doom. So it's a super villain group, and they go against the Justice League a lot of the time. But you have all kinds of characters. Lex Luthor and his Legion of Doom characters, Joker, Gorilla Grodd, Sinestro, Cheetah, a lot of different characters who are formidable against the Justice League. I don't know though who they would go up against necessarily. I know that obviously in the previous Justice League movie they went up against Steppenwolf, which was kind of stupid, but in the Zack Snyder version, they go against Steppenwolf as well as Darkseid, which is a big villain. I don't think they would want to retread a lot lot of that. I'll say this:
they wouldn't want to redo that.
They probably are not going to want to redo that. No.
Name your top three biggest villains
for the Justice League specifically.
That the Justice League could finish, because I think that, like, because the reason why I'm asking is again I don't know, but two, also what I can is again, like, they're already bringing in the big three. They already shown Hawkgirl, which Hawkgirl was never really a big character. She's going to get a TV show spinoff. And then you're going to have probably, like, they're going to introduce I think they're going to introduce another Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now. Guy is going to turn bad. Telling you, he's going to become a Red Lantern.
Well, that's all I can say is we will see, but it's a good guess. Yeah.
No, that's my bold prediction.
All right.
Lock it in.
Okay.
We're going to get another Green Lantern.
Yep.
Trying to think. We're already going to get a Wonder. Now the Flash, that's going to be, is Ezra Miller staying? I don't know. I think they're going to recast it. I think they're going to recast it. It's my personal thing. I think they're going to recast the Flash, bring in someone, and once they get all 7 people established, they're going to be telling a story in the background of all these people that are going ahead. And I'm telling you this right now. Remember the pocket universe from this movie. Okay, remember it.
Yes.
Because someone is going to come from that pocket universe. That's going to be the very first thing. It's going to be Lex Luthor's fault. And mark my words when I say this. I'm telling you 3 things to mark my words for. First is going to cause their first main villain, the first huge big bad guy. That's 1. 2, they're going to let Lex Luthor out of jail and he's going to help Superman. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do something and he's going to help him. He's going to help Superman. And 3, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do a multiverse thing at some point in time. And when
Yes.
they do a multiverse thing, we're going to get 3 Batmans. And we're going to get, similar to 3 Spider-Mans, we're going to get 3 Batmans. We're going to get Christian Bale. We're not going to get Ben Affleck. Do not bring back Ben Affleck. We're going to get this new Batman. And we're going to get Robert Pattinson. All on the same
Robert
screen.
Pattinson, hell yeah. I am all for that.
Yeah,
all
Pattinson,
for it.
yeah. I think I'm telling you, those are 3 things that are going to happen. We've had so many Batmans. I think it's only right that we get all of them. And they already killed off what's his name? Michael Keaton. He already died. In the Flash.
In the Flash, but you could, I mean, I think he's okay without being there at this point, but I agree with you about, I mean, I don't know about Christian Bale, but I think that'd be sick. Pattinson, absolutely. And then the new Batman, whoever he may be.
That pocket universe thing, I'm telling you, they're gonna start introducing the multiverse man.
They will. No, they will. They will. There's a huge multiverse story called Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they've already adapted it in the TV shows, all the DC CW TV shows. They're absolutely at some point in time gonna do it for the movies.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
100%. It's gonna happen. Yeah. But I'll go one step further.
3 Batmans.
I will go one step. Yep. I'm going to piggyback off what you said, and I'm going to go one step further. Except for Dean Cain, who is a shitty Superman, I predict that we're going to have a bunch of Superman coming in to the DCU in a multiverse crossover. I'm talking.
No.
Yes. I'm talking Tyler Hoechlin. I'm talking Tom Wellington. I'm talking Brian Routh from Superman Returns. I'm talking Henry Cavill himself. I'm talking who else? Well, those are the ones that come to mind right away. And of course David Corenswet. So that's about 5 Supermen. I think they're all going to come together and beat the shit out of some people too, in addition to your 3 Batman idea. That's my prediction.
No. I don't think so. I think Henry Cavill's. I think Henry Cavill's going to be done.
He very well could be. He very well could be. I'd be okay. I'd literally be okay with everyone except for Henry, because everybody else would be excellent. Tom Welling, he's got the juice. Tyler Hoechlin, he's got the juice. Brian Routh, he's still been doing Superman. He's still got the juice. So everybody's got the juice.
Doing small. Which one's who's on Smallville?
That's Tom Welling.
That's not okay. Yeah, he's good.
And Tyler Hoechlin is Superman and Lois, and he's great. I think he's a fantastic Superman.
Yeah, I think again, like with this thing coming up here, I think casting is the most important thing. And I think what we experience now with the MCU is that they've had so many great actors that have set the bar so high that these second-rate actors are coming in. And I shouldn't say second-rate, that's disrespectful. But these actors are trying to go ahead and they're trying to perform at a level that is just it's tough to reach that. And it takes everything to be great. It takes a good story. It takes good acting. It takes everything's got to click. You can't just go ahead and just expect, okay, I'm just going to show up and do my thing and go home. Can't expect that. And I think that's what we're noticing with MCU, and we'll probably notice it with DCU at some point in time. But until we get there, let's have fun with this.
Yeah, I agree. There's one thing that I'm going to mention, and then when we wrap up, I will actually tell you about the 3 villains that just came to my mind that may be very formidable for the Justice League in either a somewhat major or a super duper trooper, like, oh my god, capacity. However, and I'm gonna actually no, I'll share the screen until I actually have to get to this last part. Toward the end of the movie, there is a character that shows up on one of the TV screens at LexCorp. His name is Maxwell Lord. And everybody should know this name because he is one of the most significant and devious characters in all of the DC universe. He is as bad can possibly get. And the original story of Maxwell Lord is this. When the Justice League was a small group that included Guy Gardner, Batman, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and a bunch of other sort of B, C list characters, um, Maxwell Lord was the guy who actually was their manager. He marketed them. He was like the Paul Heyman of the Justice League. Okay. And then it turns out that he was secretly a dickhead supervillain who was going to sell them out to a bunch of supervillains. So this guy is bad, bad, bad news. And I do believe that they are going to set him up at some point to be one of the main antagonists for the Justice League going forward. He is as bad as it gets. Like, he is like, if Lex Luthor is like, kind of like Trump and Elon, not to put politics into it too much, but like those kinds of shady characters. Maxwell Lord is like, God, I don't even know what Maxwell Lord is like. I can't even predict it, to be honest. But he's as shady and shitty as they come. Now, in terms of the actual characters, I'm going to share a couple of different people right now and describe what their freaking deal is. So number one is Eclipso. So Eclipso is kind of like this dark elf sort of villain, and basically, and I'll actually yeah. So here he is in the Stargirl show. Basically, he has this crystal, and like he kind of like wants to take over a bunch of people's bodies and like control them and stuff with like this kind of like moon power. And so he could be a very formidable opponent in terms of, he's actually controlling people's minds and, spreading across darkness all across people, like kind of similar to like Sentry and that kind of thing. He is a very, very powerful villain, incredibly bad dude. And look at the shade. Look at the shade on this guy's face. Literal shade on his face. Like, look at it. He's holding the decapitated head of a person, a hero, whatever the heck you want to call it. I don't know if they're gonna introduce Eclipso, but they should definitely introduce him into the next DC universe. Up next, if I can share the screen, is Despero. And Despero is a very powerful supervillain. He has kind of mental powers. He can manipulate, kind of similar to Eclipso, but not in the same way. He's a sort of a warlord. He's a conqueror. He manipulates people in all of these very devious sorts of ways. But he is also bad news. But he's more of a physical character. But he also has sort of mind games and that kind of thing. Eclipso is more like, I'm going to dominate you. I'm going to, break you, corrupt you. This guy's more like, I'm going to conquer you. I'm going to do some bad shit and I'm going to fuck your world up. Like, oh my God, this is pretty bad and terrible. And I actually have a Despero toy at home. I didn't know who he was, but I had one. So he's a sick ass. He's a sick ass guy. He's a sick ass, horrible dude. And finally is Chemo. Chemo is a 500-foot monster made out of chemo radiation. And he is not necessarily smart, and he's not necessarily formidable, but he is extremely, extremely dangerous. That was from the Harley Quinn show. It was just kind of making him look casual. But here he is right here, Chemo in all of his very, very dangerous glory. And he could definitely give a run for the Justice League's money. But he's sort of like a cyborg, but basically made out of like chemo energy. So he's giving people some cancer, y'all, and that's pretty bad. So those are the three that I think could be very formidable for the Justice League going forward. I definitely think that the first two may be more likely in the future. Maxwell Lord and his involvement will definitely play a big role, and Chemo could just be a fun sort of like giant monster that they could introduce or something like that.
Yeah. No, I don't know too much about it, but I think we need to start paying attention more to the details, because we are going to go ahead and we're going to find out more and more about the direction that they're going to go in. And I think without a doubt, when we get a Justice League movie, again, it's going to be very similar to Marvel when they did their Avengers movie, where someone's going to be a big villain and they're going to be fighting against that big villain.
Absolutely. Keep your eyes on where is it? Hold on. Keep your eyes on, there he is. Hold on. I got it. This guy.
And I don't think they're going to do Brainiac.
I think they're going to do Brainiac for Superman. They're not going to do Brainiac. They could do Brainiac for Justice League. I don't think they're going to do it for this Justice League.
They won't. They will not.
They may do it for Superman though.
Yeah, but they won't.
But keep your eyes on Maxwell Lord. This is what he looks like. Have his face ingrained into your memory. He is going to be incredibly important, especially if he does become the Justice League's manager and backstabs the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes on the prize, folks. All right, I think that is it. We are wrapping up. Mitchell, any other things you want to share before we end the show?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, just see the movie, see Superman, get out there, form your own opinion, do whatever you need to do. But for the love of God, people, please interact with the text and don't be a shitty human being. Please, please, please. We need better people in this world. Let Superman be your guiding light. Let him lift you above the clouds and do the Superman thing. All right, but that is it. That is our show. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel. We need that support. We need that money. We really need that money. We're not making money, by the way. That was a joke. Make sure to also listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as a side little show note, we may be discontinuing Apple because it's been very shitty and I don't necessarily like it, but I know a lot of people do technically do Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of that. So I may be lazy, but it's also very annoying. But Spotify is great. Listen to Spotify, but you can listen to it on Apple, but it's not going to be as updated. So just go to Spotify if you have to, but we are available on Apple. So in the meantime, until Superman kicks the shit out of you and Crypto is throwing you like a rag doll, that's being the ragdoll being Lex Luthor, we will see you on the next episode of Internet Uncapped. Bye-bye, everybody.